Well, hello. Welcome to my channel, which is dedicated towards helping you reverse your type 2 diabetes. Okay, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like and share this video to anybody you might know who might be trying to reverse their type 2 diabetes. Okay, also to remind you, I have got a book out on how I reverse my type 2 diabetes. And I managed to do that in just less than a year. So the book is available on Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk. So I'm going to put a link at the bottom of this video. So if you wanted to buy the book, you are able to do that. Okay, so, right. So today we want to understand more about diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes. If you understand what diabetes is all about, that's the key to reversing your diabetes. So a bit of knowledge, you know what to do to start having a go at reversing your type 2 diabetes. Okay, so the first thing that happens is when you tell people, oh, I have just been diagnosed diabetic, they usually ask you, oh, is it type 1 or type 2? So what's the difference? Okay. It's got something to do with insulin, okay, which is a hormone produced by the pancreas that helps you manage the sugar level in your blood. So we're going to go into that. So when people ask you what type, what type are you, type 1 or 2, you'll be able to tell them now which type you are. Well, you probably know which type you are anyway. So let's look at what the difference is. Imagine this guy is big money. Call me big money sometimes. So he goes into one of those burger joints, yeah? And in the burger joints, he orders, you know, like that's milkshake, isn't it? Let's call it strawberry milkshake, full of full of sugar. And then he orders a portion of French fries, which is basically carbs and salt. Then he has his burger, the big one. The bun is usually loads of carbs. The burger is full of fat. So is the cheese, and we don't know what else is in there. Well, at least he's getting a bit of his 5 a day because he's got a little bit of lettuce and tomato there. Okay, so he's had this meal and now he's full of carbs and sugar. Okay. What happens is once he's consumed that meal, his body converts that the carbs and the sugar into something called glucose. Glucose belongs to a family of sugar. Okay. Now that glucose goes straight into his bloodstream. So he has his burger meal. It's now full of carbs and sugar. Okay. Glucose, well, and a bit of fat as well. Glucose converts, the body converts through the digestive process the carbs and the sugar into glucose, and the glucose ends up in the bloodstream. Okay. Now, the body doesn't like loads of glucose in the bloodstream. Okay. So the body is very clever. It has a part called the pancreas. So the pancreas produces a hormone called insulin, right? And the job of the insulin, right, is to move the glucose out of the bloodstream into the cells of this guy called money. Okay. Now, if insulin has moved the blood and the glucose into the cells, that means that money's got a bit of life and energy. Okay, that's the theory of how the body works. Okay, so consume a meal that's got loads of carbs and sugar. Your body converts that into glucose. Glucose stays in your bloodstream. Okay, until, and the pancreas produces insulin, okay, which then moves the glucose out of the bloodstream into your cells, and that's where you get energy and life, okay? So the issue is the pancreas producing enough insulin, okay? Or are you loading yourself with too much carbs and sugar? That's where the diabetes starts to come into play. So if you're normal, i.e., you have that meal, the pancreas produces loads of insulin, okay? The insulin moves the glucose into your cells, okay? And then you got loads of energy. I think that's where they sometimes say you got a bit of a sugar rush. That's if you're normal, right? If you're diabetic, okay, the pancreas is not producing enough insulin, okay? If the pancreas is not producing enough insulin, you're going to end up with too much glucose in your bloodstream, okay? Yes, the insulin will move. The insulin that's produced can move some of the glucose, but your body is still moving a lot of glucose around your body, okay? Now, the body does not like too much glucose in the system, okay? So what happens is that if you got too much glucose in the bloodstream, then it starts to affect and damage the vital organs. It starts to damage the eyes, which could lead to blindness. It starts to damage the kidneys, which could lead to kidney failures. It starts to damage the heart, which could lead to heart failure or strokes, okay? If you got too much glucose in your bloodstream, what happens is that if you have a wound, then it doesn't heal very quickly, which is why diabetic are usually warned about open sores, because it doesn't heal very quickly because there's too much glucose in the bloodstream. So basically, too much glucose in the bloodstream is not very good, okay? So that's what's happening with the being diabetic. So the other thing to add to it is that even if your pancreas is producing enough insulin, if you've got too much fat around your belly, as Big Man is showing here, it's got too much fat in the belly, then it blocks disturbs the work of the insulin in terms of moving the glucose into the cell. So it's the same effect, okay? So we now talk about type 1 and type 2. What's the difference between type 1 and type 2? Well, you see, type 1 is when the body doesn't produce any insulin or very little insulin, okay? If the body is not producing insulin, then people with type 1 diabetes have to administer the insulin externally, okay? When people say of all the diabetics, okay, population, then 5 to 10% of those are type 1. And that's usually diagnosed when one is a child, because you are not producing insulin. So you usually see people in as a child or teens or a young adult, okay? This is a irreversible condition, okay? So people with type 1 diabetes, they just got to live with insulin injection all their life, okay? It's just how it is. There's currently no known cure or prevention, okay? So that's type 1 diabetes, okay? But 90 to 95% of diabetics, okay, me to one side, 90 to 91% of diabetics have type 2 diabetes, okay? With type 2 diabetes, and that's the one that we're focusing on, and that's the one I am focused on, and this is the one that is reversible, type 2 diabetes. The body is not making enough insulin, okay? Or the body makes enough insulin, but we can't use it to control the blood glucose level. There's something going on that needs intervention, okay? So what happens here is this usually happens when, as we approach our middle age, you start getting into your 50s and the like, then type 2 diabetes comes in, okay? It's usually diagnosed in people approaching their middle age, but increasingly it's been diagnosed in teenagers and young adults because of there's an obesity crisis based on people eating all the fast food and the like, okay? So we can treat type 2 diabetes. The doctor would could prescribe insulin and medication. But if you have a go at changing your lifestyle, then this is where you can reverse type 2, okay? Even though you start off with medication or insulin, and that's what happened with myself. I started with insulin and then went on to tablets, but I managed to reverse it because I just changed my lifestyle, okay? So prevention and reversal is possible through diet and lifestyle changes, and that's the focus, okay? So that's the difference between type 1 and type 2, okay? So if you understand more about diabetes, especially if you're type 2, then you know that the keys, you can reverse that diabetes by looking at changing your lifestyle. If you change your lifestyle, work hard at it, then you can reverse it and put yourself out of the danger zone. So that is basically a summary of what the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes is. So don't forget to like this video and share, feel free to share the video, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you very much. Bye.